step in and stand clear of the closing doors.
What do you think about the MTA?
What a concept.
It's like a love-hate thing, you know? I need them, but I hate them.
It's dirty. It's incredibly filthy, and you could see through the filth an entire, decades of neglect.
It's very dirty. There's only like one way in which you could go. It's not accessible for everyone.
Today it took an hour and 10 minutes for a 40-minute ride, so sometimes I think it's really great.
As far as being on time, I said they're okay. They've been pretty punctual these past few days, Overall, it's just like a terrible experience.
I couldn't see the filth today because there were so many people around me. Although I do put my bag down now because I'm reading when I'm standing, and the bottom of the bag is not disintegrated, so that's good. I'm always surprised.
MTA, they put it suck. Period, it suck.
My name is Earnest Walker, and I'm the president of self-advocacy at UCP NYC. We would like an elevator at the Avenue I train station in Brooklyn by our day program. An accessible train station would greatly enhance our independence and give us more agency.
Earnest Walker is one of the many people at the Elmwood Avenue program for the United Cerebral Palsy, or UCP, and like many of the residents there, his independence is crippled by the MTA subway stations. Many of these stations don't have elevators and aren't wheelchair accessible. Alternatives such as Access a Ride and the MTA buses aren't a viable means of transportation for the disabled community. The MTA buses were designed to complement the subway system, not replace it. Even with priority seating, the MTA buses can only transport a few people who use wheelchairs. Sometimes, drivers forget to bring a special key used to operate the lifts, and as a result, wheelchair patrons have to wait hours for service. Many have had to wait in turbulent weather such as rain and even snow.
It was cold. I had to take a bus home in my house. A bus. I had to take 2 buses home. Me and my home attendant had to take a bus home. It was winter time. I don't want to never do that again.
It was so cold outside. My hand was like ice freezing cold. I was screaming. My hand was hurting because I want to go back home. I couldn't take it.
Access a Ride is a service operated by the MTA to provide transportation for people with disabilities. Passengers have to schedule appointments ahead of time, usually days before, and are picked up by the driver. However, Access a Ride is often late and an inconvenient means of getting around the city, as drivers sometimes forget or even refuse to pick up their passengers. It is unreliable, especially if you have to get somewhere at a specific time. Spontaneity is the biggest problem with Access a Ride, as passengers can't even make on-the-spot decisions to go somewhere. Taxis and other car services are an expensive alternative to travel, and due to the prejudice against people in wheelchairs, drivers don't want to go through the hassle of helping them get into the car.
The MTA tried to put a Band-Aid on the problem. That Band-Aid's Access a Ride.
When you need to make a trip, you got to make it 2 days before. And sometimes they don't even come on time. You got some nasty drivers who don't care. Some nasty drivers who don't care. They'll pass you right by. Let's say you outside sitting out there waiting for them. It could be 2 or 3 hours before they pick you up. You could call the office or something like that. It happened to me.
So I have to deal with excessive prices, poor service, long hold times, okay, on the phone. And that's also what you deal with the Cesaride. They put you on hold for a long time because they know you have nowhere else to go.
I was supposed to go to Manhattan to see a show, and they'd sit there and lie to me. And they said they were here. They were never here.
The 34th Street Hudson Yards station is the first new subway station built in the MTA since 1989 and is ADA accessible. We took a trip there to validate this claim. The 34th Street Hudson Yards station has 3 elevators, 2 vertically traveling elevators and an incline elevator. The incline elevator is actually cheaper than the vertically traveling elevators and can hold up to 5 wheelchair passengers. It was built to provide people with disabilities an easier path to the train's platform and was made to be slower than the escalators to discourage typical people from crowding it. In addition, the station has accessible auto gates, larger than most found in other stations, accessible MetroCard systems and booth windows, large print sides, and help point intercoms. The gap between the platforms and the train is minimal and won't prove to be an obstacle. The 34th Street Hudson Yards station is indeed ADA accessible and is what other stations need to be.
We need this. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, but we need a subway system that's an alternative to Accessorite, because sometimes Accessorite don't show up, like I said.
Even though they have these accessible stations, I've never actually seen a wheelchair on there. I don't know. I think maybe individuals that use wheelchairs may be afraid, perhaps, to use the subway. Because, God forbid, they get off the wrong station, it's not accessible, they're trapped. Also, the nature of the subway itself. When the doors open, sometimes there's a gap between the platform and the actual train. And then sometimes when the train does arrive, there's a steel girder.
As of August 2015, only 103 out of 422 stations are wheelchair accessible. There are almost no wheelchair accessible train stations by the F train line, specifically at the Avenue I station. This is a problem for the UCP Elmwood community because the F train is the only train around them, and the Avenue I station is the closest train station they have. Fixing and renovating the F train line wouldn't just help the UCP community, but also other disabled communities and senior citizens who have trouble using stairs.
But then you'll notice that there's typically gaps of 7 or 8 stations until you see another wheelchair accessible station.
I remember thinking today, when it was taking so long, how antiquated the system is, and it's an old city.
Also, you gotta remember, I think Felix and Luis and many of the others that we interviewed mentioned this, they are a monopoly, which wasn't always the case. The MTA was created by merging all private transportation companies within New York City. The subways were first built, you had different companies.
I think the MTA is a business, and it's political, and people with disabilities go up to Albany often and petition.
There would call a time when you had competing subway companies and you had better service.
If people with disabilities, that's the largest minority in the world, and when they do unite, very powerful force.
They need to change what you call the system.
I think it's the difference between sympathy and empathy. It's the reason why when you see a homeless person asking for $1, you just walk right past them. People are optimistic and they like to think that they'll never be in that position. And because they'll never be in that position, they shouldn't have to care.
We're so comfortable with being able to walk and take the stairs and take the subway with no problem. It's not something that's on top of our head. So when and I don't think people do it purposely. I think it's kind of normal not to think about disabled people, and I think that's the problem where we don't see people with disability as normal people.
People that don't have to struggle don't really care. That's just the reality of it.
They just don't know. like talk to my friends back in like, you know, my neighborhood. Like, they don't know about these people. They don't know why. Like, they don't know like they're like struggling to like get fair transportation. You know.
One particular day, I saw a sign that said, "Capital Project. We are refurbishing Avenue I, 18th Avenue, Ditmas, Bay Parkway, etc., stations." Okay? There was nothing in the written language on the sign that mentioned anything about accessibility. And I said to myself, I work with this population at 2 rehabilitation sites, and there's a residence within blocks of these stations. And how, frankly, how the hell can this be? The fact that this population is being so underserved.
I think money is never a problem. It's all about attitude. And if society wants something, it will elect the people to do it.
Ernest has taken the lead. We need to do the same thing. We need to write letters to the MTA. We need to make films like this, okay? We need to create petitions. We need to meet at local community boards. We need to bring these issues out.
People who are disabled are human beings just like you and me, and it's their civil right to get around the city. And the fact that we're sort of doing it is not good enough.
It is a right for everyone, regardless of ability or disability, to use the MTA. The MTA is a hub of people from all walks of life. The only community we don't see is the disabled community, who are often ignored or forgotten. It is time we start including them as a part of our society. And we start this effort by fixing the F train line and bringing the UCP community to us.